Most people go through life walking into rooms with their shoulders slightly hunched, their voice softened, their energy pulled back, because somewhere along the way, they learned the dangerous lie that being too much is wrong. That lie makes you apologize for simply existing in your full power. And here's the truth: every time you shrink yourself so others feel comfortable, you're not being kind, you're being absent. You're robbing the world of the energy, creativity, and leadership you were meant to bring. Your full presence is more than just showing up. It's showing up with your truth, your passion, your fire, and your conviction. People feel that. They're drawn to it. They might not always understand it. And yes, some will be intimidated by it. But that's not your problem. That's their limitation. When you live in your full energy, you give the people who are ready for growth a standard to rise to. And those are the people you want in your life anyway. Think about it. Some of the most influential leaders, artists, and change makers in history weren't liked by everyone. They didn't walk into a room asking for permission to be themselves. They walked in knowing they had something valuable to give. If they had diluted themselves to fit what was acceptable, they never would have made the impact they did. Your presence is the same. It's not meant to be universally approved. It's meant to be unapologetically authentic. But here's the problem. Society trains us to believe that humility means hiding, that politeness means staying quiet, that respect means playing small. That's not humility. That's self-erasure. True humility is knowing your value so deeply that you don't need to shrink or inflate yourself for others. You simply stand in your truth and let the energy of who you are speak louder than the approval of the crowd. When you stop apologizing for your presence, you stop asking, "Do I belong here?" And you start declaring, "This is where I'm meant to be." And the shift is profound, not just in how you feel about yourself, but in how others respond to you. People will take your presence as seriously as you do. If you walk in owning your space, others will rise to meet you. If you walk in half present, you'll be overlooked. This is about deciding today that you are enough exactly as you are. Not enough in the sense of just barely acceptable. Enough in the sense of powerful, worthy, and capable of creating extraordinary results. When you hold back, you don't just limit yourself. You set a tone for everyone watching you, including your children, your team, your friends. Show them what it looks like to own your presence fully. So stop apologizing, stop over-explaining, stop downplaying your wins. The next time you enter a room, walk in like you belong there, because you do. Let your energy lead before your words even begin. You're not here to take up less space. You're here to light it up. And the moment you decide to own your full presence, you'll find that the world has been waiting for that version of you all along. The world hands you a script before you even know who you are. It says, here's how you're supposed to look, think, dream, and behave if you want to be accepted. And most people, without even realizing it, spend their entire lives trying to follow that script. They trade their individuality for a false sense of belonging. They compress their dreams, mute their voices, and shape themselves to fit a mold they didn't even choose. But here's the raw truth. Every mold the world gives you is designed for comfort, not greatness. If you want to live an extraordinary life, you've got to break the mold, not fit it. Fitting the mold feels safe. It keeps you from rocking the boat, from facing criticism, from being too different. But safety is the enemy of growth. You can't change the world, or even your own life, by staying inside the lines someone else drew. Every breakthrough you've ever admired in history, from business to art to social change, came from someone who refused to be confined by what was normal. They didn't just step outside the mold. They shattered it so no one could put them back inside. Now, breaking the mold doesn't mean being rebellious for the sake of rebellion. It means being fiercely committed to your truth, even when it doesn't align with what's popular, comfortable, or expected. It means asking yourself daily, is this choice coming from my authentic vision or from fear of standing out? Because the moment you let fear decide for you, you've already started molding yourself into something smaller. Here's the challenge: molds are invisible until you start pushing against them. That's why so many people think they're free while they're still living in someone else's definition of success. You'll recognize a mold when you hear that little voice in your head say, "People like me don't do things like that." That's your alarm bell. That's when you know it's time to lean in, not step back. And let's be real. When you break the mold, not everyone will cheer for you. Some people will resist because your freedom threatens their comfort. They'll try to pull you back, not because you're wrong, but because your courage reminds them of the risks they never took. Don't take it personally. You're not here to live a life that makes everyone comfortable. You're here to live a life that's true. Breaking the mold is about giving yourself permission to become the first instead of the next. The first in your family to break a cycle. The first in your industry to innovate differently. The first in your circle to choose a path that nobody else understands yet. When you do that, you don't just change your life. You create a new standard that others will follow. So here's your call to action. Stop asking, "How do I fit in?" and start asking, "How do I stand out in alignment with who I really am?" When you stop chasing the mold and start creating from your truth, you'll discover something life-changing. You were never designed to fit the world's image. The world was meant to be changed by yours. The very things you've been taught to hide, downplay, or fix are often the exact things that give you your edge in life. Your uniqueness, the quirks in your personality, the different way you see problems, the energy you bring into a room, isn't just part of you, it's the leverage that can set you apart in a world drowning in sameness. Yet, most people spend their entire lives sanding down their edges to blend in. They think, if I can just be like everyone else, I'll finally be accepted. But here's the reality. When you try to be like everyone else, you disappear into the crowd. The people who win in life are the ones who double down on what makes them different. Look at any industry, any movement, any breakthrough. It wasn't led by the person who blended in the best. It was led by the person who brought something new to the table and had the guts to own it. Your uniqueness is not a liability, it's your greatest asset. The problem is, we've been conditioned to believe that standing out is risky, that we need to tone it down, to avoid criticism. But playing small to dodge judgment is like locking your most valuable treasures in a box and never letting anyone see them. Your leverage comes from authenticity, not a manufactured, filtered version of yourself, but the raw, unpolished truth of who you are. When you operate from that place, you're no longer competing with anyone because no one else can be you. The competition disappears. People are drawn to originality, not replicas. And the more you lean into your uniqueness, the more you magnetize the right opportunities, the right people, and the right results. Now, leveraging your uniqueness isn't just about branding yourself. It's about trusting that what you have is enough to succeed without trying to copy someone else's formula. Think of it like this: if you keep trying to be someone else's echo, your voice will never be heard. But when you speak in your own tone, with your own message, the people who need your exact frequency will find you. That's how influence works. It's resonance, not replication. Of course, owning your uniqueness requires courage, because the moment you step into it fully, you will be misunderstood. You will be questioned. People will project their insecurities onto you. But here's the beautiful flip. Every doubt someone throws at you is proof that you're doing something different enough to be noticed. The goal isn't to avoid resistance. The goal is to generate momentum through authenticity. When you start seeing your uniqueness as leverage, everything shifts. You stop asking, how can I be more like them? And start asking, how can I be more like me? That question changes the way you make decisions, the way you show up in conversations, and the way you build your future. It puts you back in control of your life instead of handing it over to the world's checklist. So here's your challenge. Identify the top 3 things about yourself that you've been hiding because you thought they were too different. Then flip the script. Ask yourself how those exact traits could become your greatest strengths. When you turn what makes you different into what makes you powerful, you stop chasing opportunities and start attracting them. Remember, your uniqueness isn't a flaw to fix. It's the weapon you were given to win your own game. One of the most dangerous traps in life is chasing approval instead of alignment. Approval says, if they like me, I'm okay. Alignment says, if I'm living in my truth, I'm unshakable. And here's the thing. Approval is temporary, conditional, and addictive. You can get it today and lose it tomorrow based on one choice, one opinion, or one shift in someone else's mood. Alignment, on the other hand, is permanent as long as you're rooted in who you are and where you're going. It's the difference between living on someone else's leash and walking your own path with freedom. When you live for approval, you're constantly adjusting your personality, your goals, even your values, to match what someone else wants. You become like a chameleon, blending into every environment, but losing your identity in the process. The world rewards conformity with short-term acceptance, but it punishes it with long-term emptiness. You can't build a life of fulfillment by chasing applause that dies the moment you stop performing. Alignment is different. Alignment means you choose the people, the environments, the opportunities that match your authentic self. You don't twist yourself into someone else's expectations. You find where your energy flows naturally and fully. This doesn't mean you avoid challenges or discomfort. It means you choose challenges that are aligned with your values, your mission, and your soul. That's why aligned people may have fewer fans, but far deeper relationships and far greater impact. Here's the truth. The moment you start prioritizing alignment over approval, your circle might get smaller, but your life will get richer. You'll lose some people who only love the version of you that made them comfortable. Let them go, because the people who stay, those are your people. They're not there because of the image you projected. They're there because of the truth you lived. And you can build an unshakable life with people like that in your corner. The challenge is that approval is seductive. It feels good to be praised, to be liked, to be accepted. But if you have to trade your truth to get it, you've made a deal with the devil. And the cost is your authenticity. And here's the irony, the more you chase approval, the less people respect you. Why? Because deep down, people trust someone who's grounded in their own alignment far more than someone who's constantly trying to please everyone. You have to decide right now, are you building a life for applause, or are you building a life for peace? The applause will fade. The peace will sustain you. Alignment means saying no to opportunities that look good but don't feel right. It means walking away from relationships that require you to hide your real self. It means choosing long-term fulfillment over short-term validation, even when it's hard. So here's your mission. Every time you're faced with a choice, ask yourself, am I doing this because it's true to me or because I'm afraid of losing approval? If it's for approval, pause. If it's for alignment, Commit with everything you've got, because at the end of the day, the people who truly matter will never ask you to shrink, shift, or perform for their love. They'll stand with you when you're fully you, and that's the only kind of approval worth having. Life will constantly give you two choices: shrink to fit the situation or expand to meet it. Most people, out of fear, self-doubt, or habit, choose to contract. They make themselves smaller, quieter, safer, because they think it's the way to avoid conflict, failure, or rejection. But contraction is the slow death of potential. You can't grow by pulling back. You grow by leaning forward, by taking up more space, by stepping into situations with the belief that you have everything it takes to rise. Expansion is a muscle, and every time you choose it, you get stronger. Expansion starts in your mind. Before you can expand your results, your opportunities, or your influence, you have to expand your self-image. If you see yourself as limited, undeserving, or not ready, you'll naturally hold back. But the truth is, nobody ever feels completely ready. Expansion is about acting before you feel ready and trusting that you'll grow into the version of yourself that can handle it. You cannot think your way into a bigger life. You have to step into it and let your actions catch up. When you expand, you give others permission to expand too. Your courage becomes a mirror, showing them what's possible for their own lives. Think about the people who have inspired you most. They weren't the ones who played it safe. They were the ones who stepped beyond their comfort zone, publicly, vulnerably, and unapologetically. Expansion is contagious. When you rise, others rise with you. Of course, expansion isn't comfortable. It will feel like stretching muscles you've never used before. People might even try to pull you back because your growth challenges their sense of normal. But that discomfort, that's the sign you're alive. That's the sign you're moving forward. If you feel the stretch, you're in the right place. Comfort zones are cozy, but nothing grows there. Contracting feels safe in the moment, but it robs you in the long run. You avoid risks, but you also avoid rewards. You dodge rejection, but you also dodge connection. You skip failure, but you skip mastery. You can't have the life you're dreaming of if you keep building walls around yourself. Expansion means tearing those walls down and trusting that the space you create will be filled with new opportunities. Here's the secret. Expansion doesn't always mean doing more. Sometimes it means being more. It's showing up in conversations with more confidence. It's owning your ideas instead of second-guessing them. It's taking up emotional space in your relationships by speaking your truth. It's refusing to collapse into old habits when things get hard. Expansion is a daily decision, not a one-time leap. So today, make a conscious choice. In every moment where you feel the urge to shrink, choose to expand instead. Say the thing you're scared to say. Step into the opportunity that feels a size too big. Stand taller, speak louder, dream bigger. Because every time you expand, you push the edges of what's possible for your life. And one day, you'll look back and realize the life you're living now used to be the size of your biggest dream. That's the power of never shrinking. Too many people walk through life offering only fragments of themselves. Half their passion, half their truth, half their dreams, because they believe it's safer that way. They think, if I don't give all of me, I can't be fully rejected. But here's the paradox. When you hold back pieces of yourself, you're already rejecting yourself. You're living at 50% capacity in a world that desperately needs your 100%. The world doesn't benefit from a diluted version of you. It benefits when you show up whole, mind, body, heart, and soul, ready to pour your full energy into the spaces you step into. Living whole means you stop compartmentalizing your identity. You don't wear a mask at work, another with your friends, and another at home. You bring the same core truth into every environment you enter. People can feel when you're whole. They can feel your authenticity, your consistency, your groundedness. That's why whole people inspire trust. They're not shifting to earn approval. They're anchored in who they are. Being whole also means honoring every part of yourself, even the parts you've been taught to hide. Your sensitivity, your fire, your humor, your ambition, they're all part of the package. The more pieces you cut away to fit someone else's comfort zone, the less powerful you become. Wholeness isn't about being perfect. It's about embracing all your pieces, even the imperfect ones, and knowing they still have value. Now, showing up whole is going to cost you something. It might cost you relationships that thrived on the half version of you. It might cost you opportunities that only existed because you played small. But it will also reward you with deeper relationships, truer opportunities, and a life that actually feels like yours. And that's worth more than any approval you could ever buy with self-compromise. When you live half, you may avoid certain conflicts, but you also avoid certain miracles. The love of your life, the career of your dreams, the impact you were meant to make, they all exist in the space where you are showing up as the real, unfiltered you. And if you're hiding behind the half version, those things will never find you because they're looking for you, not your mask. Wholeness is magnetic. When you show up as your full self, you draw in the people and opportunities that are aligned with your truth. You stop wasting time trying to convince the wrong people to understand you, because the right people are naturally drawn to your energy. And the best part, you don't have to exhaust yourself pretending anymore. So here's the challenge from this moment forward. Commit to showing up whole. Not when it's convenient, not when it's safe. Every day, every room, every conversation, be the person who walks in with nothing to hide and everything to give. Because when you live whole, you don't just change your life. You become the spark that gives others permission to do the same. And that is how you change the world. So here's where we land. You were not put on this earth to be a smaller, safer, quieter version of yourself just to make other people comfortable. You were born to take up space, to break molds, to leverage every ounce of your uniqueness, to choose alignment over approval, to expand when life tries to shrink you, and to show up whole every damn day. Because the truth is, the world doesn't need another copy. It doesn't need you diluted. It doesn't need you in pieces. It needs you, all of you, loud, clear, unapologetic, authentic. And yes, it will be uncomfortable. People will talk. Some will misunderstand you. But that's the price of living free. And once you taste that freedom, you'll never go back. So don't you dare shrink to fit an image you never chose. Step into the room like you belong there, because you do. Speak like your words matter, because they do. Live like the world needs your whole self, because it does. This is your life, your stage, your shot. And the greatest gift you can give this world is the fullness of you.